Mr. President, I listened to what you, Mr. Dole, Mr. Verhofstadt and Mr. Swoboda had to say. And this mutual backslapping is something that continues from the time of your predecessor, Mr. Sarkozy. The Eurosceptics that we are will have to laughed as we heard that we were a dying species. Today, I think we can see quite how funny some of the speeches today have been about the glowing future of Europe. But unfortunately that laughter has turned to a frown now. Your economics minister has already said that the efforts being put in place are too much, and that the euro rate is now penalising exports, and we are losing competitiveness compared to other countries. The French trade balance is in deficit, an annual record now of 70 billion euro, and public finances are in a parlous state, which is threatening France's solvency. We have 800 billion in debt and enormous interest payments being paid on that over the last few years. At the same time, we have endemic unemployment, and it's high time to accept that you have got things wrong. Continuing with your economic and social policy, which is very similar to that of your predecessors, is something that you can only do with money and with the backing of a totalitarian EU. Paris and Berlin have relied on the banksters from Goldman Sachs in order to back their short-term goals. Mr. Cohn-Bendit, are you supporting them? That doesn't surprise me. Short-term financial gain has been the watchword, which means cutting wages. If Goldman Sachs has been asking for a 30% wage cut, and you know that that is then social dilapidation. What does this mean for competitiveness? Well, the French Statistics Institute has said that a 20% devaluation of the Eurozone would lead to a 3% increase in GDP. That re-evaluation might not solve some of the underlying problems, because there'd still be the problem of the single currency in countries that are so very different to one another. However, it would be a little breath of fresh air, a provisional breath of fresh air to the economy. We have to take the single currency apart ourselves before it does it itself as the market floors overheat. I'm talking about Europe, but I'm a Euro realist. You're all supposed to listen to your citizens, but the citizens are turning their back on the Euro federalism that you're trying to force on them. And they're doing that because you're not trying to protect those citizens. You're refusing to admit when you've made mistakes and radically change the course you've set. Even worse, Mr. Cohn-Bendit is starting to threaten us. Indeed, he's hateful in what he says. Budapest today, Athens tomorrow, London then. As soon as people stand up to the global dictate, the EU smacks them down and shows them contempt, arrogance, and insults them, as you do, Mr. Cohn-Bendit. Well, you won't be able to carry on like this for very long by making caricatures of those who oppose your model. In those circumstances, President, on behalf of France and Europe, will you decide to turn your back on this ultra-liberal globalist economic model which has been destroying jobs and the quality of life over the last 20 years for all Europeans? Thank you.